Wow, you're not gonna believe what just happened. Where did that come from? Good night. I You're not gonna believe what just happened. So I was resetting my camera and I set my camera down here and then I went live. I hit the go live button and then this cockroach about this long went crawling right up my phone onto my light. And I went like, ah! And I flicked it off the light with my finger and it fell on the ground and I stomped on it. Yuck. Gigantic cockroach. I didn't know they had cockroaches that big here. Man, that's not cool. Anyway, I'm in Haifa right now and right on the Mediterranean Sea. So if you hear that ocean sound over there, that's what you're listening to. And the crowds have really thinned out over the last 20 minutes or so here along the waterfront. When I came down here to do my Newsmax lives, I don't know, right before sunset, this place was just jam-packed with people. And now there's just a few runners and a whole lot of cats. There's a whole lot of cats out here. You see a lot of cats in Israel. Okay, so I told you I had to answer questions. Let's go back here so get to it. And I think I'm getting eaten up by, now I'm all freaked out that the cockroach is going to climb up on me. You know what? Snakes don't bother me a bit. But rats and cockroaches will make me scream like a little girl. Okay. UK suffering from chemtrails. Oh, please, let's not talk about chemtrails. All right, so let's see here. Going for questions, looking for questions. Wow, we had a lot of comments before I went live, apparently. Okay, I know I saw some questions go by. I just got to scroll through these hundreds of comments. Thank you for all your comments. It does tell YouTube that we, need, that more people need to see us. Okay, here's a question from Franny. Chuck, what's your go-to snack that keeps your spirits up while reporting on the front lines? That's a great question. Sunflower seeds. I can pretty much survive on sunflower seeds and Red Bull. Thank you for that, Donna. I'm going to move over here. There's something over there that is trying to eat me. I'm getting eaten up by bugs over there. What's the latest regarding the hostages? They are still apparently in talks to try to get some hostages out. But as every day goes by, the number of hostages that they figure out are not alive goes up. And so that the chances of getting these hostages out alive, or at least getting a bunch of them out alive, is diminishing day by day. Thank you, Doxy. Appreciate that $20. Thank you, MM. I appreciate that. Snow White sent me an email about helping me moderate. I think that's a great idea. And because now look, helping me moderate, I appreciate very much. And we as the channel grows, we certainly need that. But if you want to be a moderator, I'm not going to expect you, like I tell One Tired Mama, I don't expect you to come on every time I'm live. If you happen to be on and you want to moderate, that's great. But I don't see it as your job to come on every day. And so anyway, I appreciate that very much. Let's see here. All right, so we're going to give you a try, Snow White. How about that? Congratulations, Snow White. We'll make you a moderator too, since you're on a lot. Okay, so, man, I tell you what, that cockroach freaked me out. I don't know where that went. Okay, question, is GPS being jammed on purpose, redirect the drone to the airport in Lebanon? Is that a thing? Yes, Craig, that is a thing. They are jamming the GPS signals here. And when I drove today from Haifa to Jish and back, which is about an hour each way, hour and 20 minutes. No, moderators do not get paid. Driving there was a bit of a challenge. Took me a little longer than normal because my GPS showed that I was in Beirut. And so when I went to map myself to Jish, it said it was going to take like 4 hours and cross the border. And obviously that's not going to work. And so I just had to kind of actually do it the old-fashioned way. I'm old enough to remember before we had GPS, and so I just kind of figured it out. Eventually, when I got about halfway there, my map started working for a while, and I could figure out where I was and get pointed the right direction again, and then it went out again. So, okay, LaRonda Hayes says, do you think if Israel had the death penalty for a terrorist, that it would stop a lot of terror? No, I don't, because the terrorists that they're arresting want to die. I mean, these are the people who invented the idea of the, suicide bomber. Think about that. You know, there are criminals in every country around the world, but how many people groups do you know of who have suicide bombers? I can only think of one. I mean, well, two if you go back to World War II and you think of the kamikazes, but the Japanese don't do that anymore, and that was kind of part of their Shinto religion. But Islam is the only religion that tells you that you have to die the right way to be guaranteed entry into heaven. And that dying the right way is, dying in battle against the infidel. Okay, E. Wonderment says, are there still protests regarding conscription of Orthodox men? I have not seen any since I've been here. Neethi Sebastian says, I'm unable to see the donation button nowadays. Any idea? If you're going to donate, I would recommend you go to chuckholton.com and become a supporter over there. You can do a one-time donation, or monthly, annually, whatever you want. And we get a lot more of that money, so we can make use of it than the money that we get here on YouTube. But either way is fine. If you want to find the one on YouTube, you might just hit the 3 buttons at the bottom right hand of the screen, or hit the thing that says thanks, I think, something like that. It depends on how you're watching it. If you're watching it on Roku or something like that, it's going to be really hard to donate online. Okay, this is Frederick from Kenya, blah, blah, blah. As a construction worker. Viva la Haifa. Yeah, Haifa's great. I like Haifa. Hi, Connie or Nathan. I'm not sure who's on right now. Okay, so question. Do you think IDF knows where Yahya Sinwar is? No, if they did, they would have probably killed him by now. But they certainly are planning to kill him as soon as they find him. Question, do you think Iran is waiting for Israel to strike first? No, I don't think they're waiting for that, although Israel certainly may strike first. I think that they are, as I said on the previous live, they're biding their time so it can look like they are, being magnanimous. Or, well, what they've been saying is that, the waiting is part of the punishment. But as you can see here behind me, these people don't look like they're being punished. I mean, they're certainly concerned, without a doubt, concerned about what's going on, but they are just living their lives. And so that quote-unquote punishment by making them wait for an attack is not so much. The question, would it be a good idea for the people of Iran to revolt and take over the government? That's an easy one. Yes, it would. Bruce, okay. Real Rail fan says, did Israel or the USA know about an attack coming before the October attack? Not sure if that was ever made known publicly. Actually, it has been made known publicly, and yes, they did. They had a lot of information regarding that attack. And hey, how's it going? What's that? YouTube. All right. You Orthodox already? Oh, okay. So, yes, there was a lot of information about that attack out there. They knew that it was going to happen, and they just didn't believe it. It was a real pride move on the part of the IDF, the leadership. They acted out of pride. We're way too good. Our systems are way too good. They couldn't attack us. No way. And so even though there was proof coming out that they are going to attack, they didn't believe it. And they kept telling the people that were warning them to shut up and go away. And that is, actually, if you listen to Carolyn Glick, she talks a lot about this, about how this really comes down to the very damaging, very destructive divide in Israeli culture between the left and the right. And it's damaging and destructive, just like it is in the United States, just like it is in the UK and a lot of other places. Look, the left is, I would say, an even greater threat to Western culture, to Judeo-Christian culture, than the Muslims, than extremist Muslims. I would say that the left, the socialist, communist left, the godless left is the biggest threat to humanity on planet Earth. And it is through the left that I think Satan will work even more so than he can work through extremist Muslims. But that's just my opinion. Okay, question. If Russia's supplying Iran with weapons and the U.S. is supplying Israel with weapons, won't that eventually lead to a superpower war while China sits back and waits for the outcome? No, I mean, I think this is what World War III looks like. World War III is not going to be Russia against the United States directly, because we both have nuclear weapons. And if we both get into a conflict that neither of us is willing to lose, then we end up going nuclear. Somebody ends up going nuclear and the whole world gets destroyed. And we all know that, right? So that keeps the major powers from directly fighting one another, and that's why you see everything being a proxy war nowadays, because the major powers are fighting each other through their proxies. Question, Chuck, are you allowed to pack a pew-pew? Not here in Israel. I do some places, but not here. Why is it that I've been unsubscribed twice just today and almost on a daily basis every time I try to watch your show? That's a good question, Jen, but thank you for checking. And so if you have been subscribed, you might want to check and make sure you're still subscribed, because for some reason YouTube unsubscribes people from time to time. Question, why would Turkey join in the fight against Israel, knowing the United States is on Israel's side in this conflict? Because Turkey is being run by an extremist Muslim named Erdogan right now, and he is playing to his base. He's playing to the extremist Muslims in Turkey, trying to turn Turkey into a straight-up Muslim Brotherhood country, and that's why they should not be in NATO anymore. But if they did attack Israel, it would make a very good case for them being thrown out of NATO, and so that's why I don't think they will. He's just going to talk a big game to try to pander to his people. That's why. Question, do you think that you will find any more of this hostages October 7th during this attack? During the coming attack? Probably not, but the chances that they find more alive are pretty good. The chances they get back some of them alive are pretty good. The chances they get back all of them that are currently alive, probably not that good. Could you talk about what the Mossad and what is the Mossad and how they operate? The Mossad is the secret, squirrels of Israel. Now, it's a little different here, from my understanding, is so in the United States we have like Delta Force, the Navy SEALs, stuff like that, and they're under the Joint Special Operations Command. They're directly under the military. The CIA is not under the military. It's a different thing. And sometimes the SEALs or Delta Force might work, militarily with, they might get attached to the CIA for a time for a particular mission or something like that. But they have different leadership tracks, different chains of command. Here in Israel, it's not like that. The Special Forces and the Mossad are all controlled by the same people, and so they are kind of it'd be like just another military unit. Now, I could be wrong about that, but that's my understanding based on the research and reading that I've done. Question, do you think, Alan M. says, do you think Iran is wanting to attack prior to Trump potentially coming in power, and why? If Iran is going to attack, I can virtually guarantee it'll be before Trump comes into power, if he gets elected. And that's still an open question. Question, the new leader in Iran is named Yahya Sinwar. Isn't that, I don't know what that question is. Isn't that grand? Yeah, Yahya Sinwar is the new leader who's been chosen to take the place of Ismail Haniyeh, but Israel is saying he may be the shortest serving leader of Hamas in history, because they're planning to add him to arrange a meeting for him to meet was Ismail Haniyeh and Mohammed Deif and all those guys as soon as possible. Okay, so let's go back. I may have missed a couple in there. Is this World War III right now, Robert? I believe it is. I believe that, I mean, you've got Russia directly involved with assisting the enemies, not only attacking Western Europe, NATO, and the United States through Ukraine, but also attacking the United States through its support of the terrorist organizations that are fighting Israel. And so there are all these proxy wars going on between Russia and the West. China and the West is kind of supporting them a little more quietly. Of course, Iran is part of that axis of evil. And so, yes, I believe this, when the history books are written, 100 years from now, they're going to look back and they're going to say, 2024 was part of World War III. Question, what will come first? Do you think the attack or me reaching 100K subs? Boy, I hope it's me reaching 100,000 subs, and you can be a part of that, folks, by going and hitting the subscribe button and helping me get there. Only got like 3,000 to go to get to 100,000, get that silver play button, and that opens up a lot of opportunities, right? I was going to ask you too, let me ask you a question. This is a news channel, and I'm trying to give you news commentary to try to provide context for what's going on around the world, not just in Israel, but wherever I go, with immigration, disasters, wars. And so I've been approached by a bunch of companies asking me to, asking if they can sponsor the channel and asking me to sell their products. Some of them I just outright say no because I disagree with what they're doing, or it just doesn't, it's not a good fit for me. I'm not going to push Depends underwear or something, Viagra or something weird like that. But at the same time, if one came along that I did, like say the company where I buy most of my clothes, or the company that I use, that I like their backpacks, or something like that. If they came along and wanted to support me, would you think that was a sellout? I want to maintain journalistic integrity here, and I see a lot of other podcasts that do that, a lot of news podcasts. But if it's a product I believe in, would you have a problem with me bringing it to your attention? What kind of body armor I recommend for journalists going into the war zone, conflict zone. Okay, so John, I'll give you an example. The body armor I wear is called Angel Armor, and it is, I think, the best out there because it's some of the lightest that you can find. It's super light. It's made by it was invented by the guy who invented the OtterBox, the guy who owns OtterBox, and he invented this armor because he was appalled by how heavy the armor was that our troops were wearing. He invented it, and then he gave away a lot of it. And as a matter of fact, I got mine for free because they found out that I worked for the Free Burma Rangers as a humanitarian from time to time, and they provide the Free Burma Rangers with free body armor because of the places that we go. And so I would gladly recommend Angel Armor body armor, even if they weren't paying me. But if they offered to support me, my channel, and have me tell you about it, would that be a problem to you? Just a question. Denise says, as long as no one can influence your broadcast. Right. Yeah, I'm certainly not going to support or let anybody influence what I have to say. I'm gonna, like one organization that came to me and was like, hey, can we sponsor you? Here's what we want you to say. And I looked at what they wanted me to say, and I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not saying that, because I don't believe that. Okay, question. Let's go back to your questions. Where does Egypt stand regarding the conflict? Do you think they will stand by Israel? No, they will not stand by Israel. They are taking a neutral stance. They're trying to stay out of it. They don't support Israel, but they're trying not to be against Israel. They're just trying to, like, sort of fade into the background regarding this. Chuck, don't worry about everyone else, your channel. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. I appreciate that, my wild child. is your trip to Israel in October canceled? No, it's not, Bruce. We're still going. I mean, right now there's tourists here. There was over 100 tourists from Indonesia at the Garden Tomb just 2 days ago that came to pray for Israel, pray specifically for Israel. And the reason that we're running a tour to Israel in October, it's full, by the way. But if you're on that tour, I want you to understand why we're running a tour to Israel. And that is because we want to stand with Israel on the 1-year anniversary of those attacks. And so we're not coming to see everything. We're not going to have time to see everything. There's going to be a lot of things that we miss on our tour in Israel because specifically we're coming to stand with Israel on October 7th and to pray for Israel, to be here in the land. And so I want to make sure everybody understands that. We are going to give you a lot of free time so that you can go see things that are very specifically important to you. But we're also going to offer some really amazing things, that you're not going to get anywhere else. Okay. So, question. Why doesn't the U.S. Embassy and other nations warn their citizens to get out of Israel? For just the reason I said. Look around you. There's a kind of stroller right there. I'm doing this because I want you to see some context. You're hearing about, oh my gosh, this is attack is about to take place and Israel's going to get destroyed and blah, blah, blah. But there's people walking their babies in baby strollers out here. It's not as dangerous as you think it is. You have to understand, yes, this is a war zone. Yes, we're 10 miles from the Lebanese border and there could be rockets falling here in a matter of seconds, but they're not right now. And the people here have to live here no matter what. And so I'm not afraid to be here because, how can I be afraid to be here when that lady's pushing her little baby in a baby carriage out here? And I'm not afraid to bring my family here because there are plenty of places in Israel where we can go that are not under threat right now, not under, grave threat. I mean, sure, they may have an attack from Iran at any time, and maybe some of those might even fall in Jerusalem. But let me tell you, the last time they had a air raid siren in Jerusalem was April 13th. That was months ago, and it came to nothing. So I'm not that concerned. U.S. soldiers under attack in Syria, base overrun by terrorists. Can you report? I haven't heard that the base was overrun by terrorists. I have heard that the United States may be abandoning one or more of the bases that we have in Syria, near Deir ez-Zor. What's of bigger concern is that some of the oil rigs where they're protecting might get taken over because the SDF, the Syrian Defense Forces, which are Kurds, won't be able to hold them if the United States isn't there to support them. Okay. Question: do you have any insight into the wall stolen Vara story? No, I don't. Chuck, do you not covet money? And I believe you would use. Do not covet money? Okay, that's not a question. Question: why did it take Israel a week to find and kill the Hamas leader, and the U.S. couldn't do it in 44 years? That's a very good question, David, and it doesn't make the U.S. Intel agencies look very good, does it? How did they get non-essential travel insurance? You may not be able to get insured for the Israel part of, if you want to come to Israel, that you may not be able to find travel insurance that would cover you here. You could get generalized travel insurance that would cover you worldwide, but there may be some carve-outs in that would, make you not covered if you're here. What I would suggest is going to like Global Rescue and getting insurance there. It's a little more expensive, but if you're on our trip, you're not going to be here that long. And so, there you go. Question: why doesn't the U.S. Embassy? Okay, so why aren't they warning their citizens to get out of Israel? Because it's not that dangerous here overall. They are warning them to get out of Beirut, though, and that tells you something. Okay, let's see if we got any more questions. I'm scrolling. Have you ever thought of having a mission trip where we could help them in some way? I've done actually quite a few of those. When we go to Armenia, on our trips to Armenia, we have one coming up in September if you want to go. We make it a point to meet and listen to and help out with some of the people who were directly affected by the war and were driven out of their homes in the ethnic cleansing that took place last September in Artsakh, which is Armenian, and they were driven out and they're in Armenia and they're suffering. We helped a woman, single mom, on this last trip in June, a nurse who was really struggling to even put food on the table, and we blessed her and gave her the ability to move out of where she was and to go someplace where she could get a job and could work and could support her family. So we do that. I did a trip in January to Colombia where we took 10 people down and we helped a church down there in a bad neighborhood, and then we helped a bunch of the single mothers, the same ones that we're still supporting down there, get started with a new business in order for them to be able to support their families. So that's definitely something that we do. If you want to take part in that, I'm not going to call it a mission trip because I don't believe in short-term missions. I think they're vastly wasteful. But if you're going to take a vacation, if you're going to take a tour with us, we do want to do something that's meaningful on all of our tours. And so we try to make sure that all of our tours have that. Michael says, do we have the strongest military, and who has the second strongest? Yes, by an order of magnitude, the United States has the strongest military. The second strongest is a question of debate because they used to say that Russia had the second strongest military. That is definitely not the case, no longer the case. If anything, it's more likely that a country like Great Britain or somebody would have the stronger military than Russia does. Okay, if I get to Israel, thank you, William, I appreciate that. If I get to Israel in early October, could we link up? If so, 5 W's, please. Rangers lead the way. Shep. Hey, Shep. Well, we're going to be running our tour from October 1st through the 11th. And so I probably couldn't, if you happen to show up, I'll say hi to you. But I'm going to be super busy herding cats with 50 people on our tour. And so I'm probably not going to have a lot of time to spend with you there. I'm encouraging people that are on our tour to even spend an extra week. Once the tour ends, just stay in Israel and schedule yourself an extra week so that you can, enjoy and experience more of what Israel has to offer. Terry Duncan says, question, have you ever been wounded in combat? I'm going to say no to that. I did get hurt in the invasion of Panama, but it was not a combat wound. It was just me being stupid. I tripped over a rock and hurt my leg. And so I'm certainly not going to call that a combat wound. Is Russian aid to Iran going to include help with nukes? And if so, then how far will they go to help Iran make them small enough to fit in warheads or suitcases? Jimmy, I don't think that Russia would be stupid enough to help Iran get a nuke. They are helping them with electronic warfare to help them, find and shoot down, missiles and warplanes and stuff that might be attacking Iran. They are helping them with surface-to-air missiles, but they would be ridiculously stupid to proliferate any kind of nukes like that. That would be a really, really bad idea. Question, what is it like in Israel currently with the threat of Iranian attack? That's easy to answer. There you go. This is what it's like. There's people out strolling along the waterfront here along the Mediterranean Sea in Haifa. This is what it's like. There's summer camps. I was in Jish today, which is 2 miles from the border with Lebanon, and the Maronite Christian church there was having a kids' summer camp with like 100 kids running around the church there. Yeah, I don't buy travel insurance for that reason, Nancy. She says don't buy travel insurance. Travel insurance will do everything they can not to cover you no matter what happens. And I lost my luggage one time and I had travel insurance. I submitted it to them and they gave me all sorts of excuses and they never actually covered my loss. So I don't buy travel insurance anymore unless somebody makes me. So let's see. What are the chances the hostages were already moved into or beyond Egypt? There's a non-zero chance that they got moved out of Gaza, but I would venture to say most of them who are still alive are still in Gaza, and they're mostly surrounding Yahya Sinwar at this point. Chuck, why this world don't have more people like you? Oh, yeah, well, how am I supposed to answer that question? Okay, do you think Trump will pull aid from Ukraine immediately? No, I don't. Trump actually sent aid to Ukraine. People forget that. But before the war started, Trump was sending aid to Ukraine, military and otherwise. Now, right now, because of the voter sentiment in the United States, it's more likely that he would not support Ukraine like Joe Biden has, but more likely he would have the ability to put more pressure on Russia to get Russia to cool it and put pressure on Ukraine to just accept their losses and take a peace deal, even if it means giving up some of their sovereign territory that they've already lost. But I will just have to wait and see. I mean, that you're making these assumptions that Trump's going to win, and I think that's far from a done deal. Okay, so let's see here. I'm backing up a little bit because I think I missed a couple. Are you in apartment now? Does it have a bomb shelter? No, I'm in a hotel right now, but yes, it does have a bomb shelter. And I will go there if the bombs start falling because we are very close to the border here. Okay. All right, so let's go back down here and start down at the bottom again. It's not fair to keep spamming with the same question again and again. Yes. Are missiles still being sent from Gaza? Well, if I don't answer your question, I'm okay with you asking it again, because I do. It's hard. I mean, we got 2,000 people online, so it's hard to catch them all because they just fly by so fast. And the way that this works is that they kind of snap to the bottom. So I'm scrolling back up trying to find the questions, and they end up disappearing on me. Can you personally carry a weapon in Israel? No, I cannot. John, I got that. Okay. Why isn't Egypt taking in people from Gaza? Because they don't like the people from Gaza. They're a different, kind of version of Islam, and they don't get along very well. Is it possible the Iron Dome becoming compromised due to running out of missiles? No, it's not. They are fully loaded. And we heard today from the Israelis that they are up 100%, and they are ready to shoot down all the missiles that come over. So we'll see. Is it legit to ask a question about civil war in England if they're using Palestinian flags? I answered that question yesterday, Lucky Duke. If you mean civil war in that, like in the traditional sense, I don't think we're looking at civil war in the UK because A, the government is on the side of the invaders, and nobody's organized enough to put like military units together and fight one another. They're not going to go out and have a, Battle of Gettysburg or anything like that in the UK. But if you're talking about two groups of people who have diametrically opposed worldviews that are mutually exclusive and cannot exist in the same place, trying to live in the same place, and, there's violence that results because of that, then yes, it is already a civil war, and we're very close to that in the United States as well. Can Hania be faking his death? No, Hania did not fake his death. Are the Russian radar and air defense systems supplied to Iran state-of-the-art? Well, they're state-of-the-Russian art, and one thing so what we've seen is that Russian technology is not all it was cracked up to be, as we have seen it being used in Ukraine. But one thing we have not seen used in Ukraine is Russian defensive technology like anti-missile defenses inside Russia. We haven't seen a lot of that go up against the American or Western offensive capability. And so if Russia is supplying defensive anti-missile capability to Iran, and the United States is supplying American technology like the F-35 to Israel, this could be the first time you see those two going up against each other, and I'm going to venture to say that the Russian technology will turn out to be not that great. Okay, question. Do you feel all the commercial ships are going to have to be rerouted? For a while, perhaps. That's a very real possibility. Do you worry about the rising popularity of Hamas and generally Islamic Republic propaganda in the West? Yes, I do worry about that. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. And as long as we have a government in place that's going to allow it to remain and to facilitate it, it's going to continue to be a growing problem. How many battalions of Hamas remain? I am not positive, but I think I would guess it's 3 to 4. And, even those might be degraded to some extent. But there's still maybe a couple thousand Hamas fighters running around in Gaza that they haven't managed to kill yet. And even if, like I mentioned before, even if they do kill them, they still have to deal with the Hamas, pro-Hamas people in the West Bank or Judea and Samaria and in Lebanon. And there are a lot of those. When they announced that Hania was replaced today by Yahya Sinwar, there were thousands of people in Lebanon who went out in the streets to celebrate. So there are a lot of people in Lebanon that are pro-Hamas. Whoops, sorry, just kicked my tripod. When will Chuck get his 100,000 subscriptions? I don't know. Are you subscribed? If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe so I can get to 100,000. We're really close. Very close. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. Do you believe Russia will get involved if the U.S. defends Israel? Russia is already involved, and as involved as they're going to be. They're not going to get directly involved where they might have to fight U.S. air fighters. If Russian MiGs came up against U.S. F-22 Raptors, they would lose. F-35 fighter, multi-role fighters, they would lose. Okay, they're going to lose. And it's not going to go well for Russia if they do that. And besides, that they will talk a good game, but when it comes down to it, Russia is not a threat to the United States militarily, other than nuclear, which they'd be stupid to do anyway. Question, would it be good timing if the U.S. or Israel take out Iran's nuclear weapons? Yes, it would. This would be a very, very, very good time. Any time would be a good time for the U.S. or Israel to take out Iran's nuclear capabilities. And Iran knows it, and that's one of the reasons I think Iran is maybe thinking twice about their response to the killing of Hania. Are they really that upset about Hania's death to risk losing their nuclear capability or almost nuclear capability? Okay, so let's see here. Questions. Is China involved in any way other than, sort of covertly supporting Iran? I'll make sure I'm not getting eaten by a dog here. Other than sort of offering moral support and covertly supporting with technology, because, Iran and Russia are under sanctions, and it's harder for them to get the computer chips that they need to build things like missiles and drones, but they are getting them. And some of the chips that they're getting are coming from China. And so in that way, China is supporting them, but they're not going to get directly involved, I don't think. Was the killing of Ismail Hania a false flag? No, it was not. They really did kill him. Iran using Russian missile defenses? Yes, they are. Beeper dog. Can we send you sunflower seeds? Please don't send me sunflower seeds. The sunflower seeds here in Israel are better than anything we can get in the United States. They have very good sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds here, which I enjoy a lot. Question, does Israel have 5 submarines? No, they have 8. They have 8 Dolphin-class submarines, from what I'm told. Okay, let's see here. What else we got? Being in Israel is awesome. It's great. And the food is good. I'm not hurting for food. My only problem with the food here is that I never have time to go eat because I'm always either doing live hits for one of my outlets or doing lives on YouTube while I'm here because I didn't get all dressed up for nothing. That's why I'm here. So, Chuck, a question: have you considered selling a 7 or 10 day trip for helping you carry your bags, lights, etc.? Here's the problem with that, Derry. When you sell a tour, now I have a customer with me, not an assistant. And if I have a customer with me, number one, it's hard to vet those people. And you know what? Some people are just very bad travelers. And I've found that out as I've run these tours, and I've opened them up for people that I don't know to sign up and come along with us on the tour. Our tour that we ran to Armenia in May was somewhat difficult because we had a few people on the tour that were very bad travelers and complained about everything, and were just not happy people, or were not capable people, and were not in very good shape, and had a hard time getting on and off the bus, and had a hard time getting up the stairs, and were getting sick, and it was difficult, right? So I've very often invited friends of mine to come along with me on my trips, because they're people that I know they're fit and capable. And if you send me somebody who needs to eat or sleep, they're going to be unhappy traveling with me, because I don't do much of either of those when I'm out here working. All right. So, that's one of the reasons I don't have a cameraman, because very often when Newsmax or CBN has tried to send me a cameraman, it comes 5 o'clock at night and they're going, it's time for dinner. We got to go back to the hotel now. We've been working for 8 hours. I can't do overtime. And that's not how I roll. I come at this with the same mindset that I was taught in the military, and that is that the mission comes first. And when I'm out here and I'm away from my family, I don't want to be relaxing. I want to be hard at it. I want to be doing the best job I can. And I, not only do I have to spend hours each day, like 3 or 4 hours each day, with my face on camera, with the money maker out here making the money, but the rest of the day I've got to spend actually collecting, information to bring to you. So I've got to be researching, I've got to be interviewing people, I've got to be driving around, I got to move around, and it's literally a 15 to 20 hour a day job for me. I mean, I've been getting to bed lately here at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, running all day long, running hard. So there's not a lot of people who can keep up with that. Even Oscar Blue Ramirez, who is more fit than I am, he's in very good shape, and he has traveled with me quite a bit. He complains, like, do you have to walk so fast? You're the fastest walker in the world, that kind of thing. And he's on his way over here, by the way, thanks to your donations. There's a lot of people who have very, very kindly helped to fund Oscar's trip to Israel so that 500 million Latinos can get this same kind of commentary and reporting in Spanish around the world. And that will help Israel a lot too. So that's one way you can help Israel, is by helping Oscar Blue Ramirez in his reporting. I would highly recommend you go to his Buy Me a Coffee site and donate to him. Chuck, have you encountered the Russian-speaking community in Israel? Yes, I have. Actually, there's a lot of them, especially here in Haifa. As a matter of fact, a lot of signs. I was just looking today at like a lost dog sign on one of these light poles back here, and it was in Hebrew and Russian. The hotel that I'm at has the instructions when you walk in the door in Hebrew, English, and Russian, because there are so many Russian speakers here in the north. And so, yes, there are a lot of Russian speakers, and actually some of the only tourists who never stopped coming to Israel after the war started in October were the Russians, because Russians are like, oh, there's a war, maybe I can get a good deal on a hotel. This is fantastic. And so they've kept coming, and they had tour groups of Russians in November, December of last year in Jerusalem, when everything else was empty. They still had Russian tour groups coming. It was amazing. Question, if you could have your pick, which of the IDF battalions would you like to follow to a war zone? I've been trying to get in with Doron Kedar, Master Sergeant Doron Kedar's Special Operations Unit. They have actually invited me to come. And so we just have to get it cleared through the IDF press office. And those guys won't even answer their phone. It is very, very difficult. Thank you for buying Oscar 3 cups of coffee. I appreciate that. It is super difficult to get the IDF to allow you to come in. The IDF is not a very transparent organization. They never have been. And they've just not been friendly to journalists. I mean, they have taken some in under extreme pressure, but most of the time they just would rather that we just went away. And that's bad for them. They don't understand how powerful the media can be if you have nothing to hide. And so I don't believe the IDF does have anything to hide. And so if the IDF understood the power of showing the good things that they're doing by allowing the press to come in and report on it, I think the fact that the Israelis are losing the information war would be mitigated to a great extent. But as it stands right now, the Israelis don't believe that they need to win the information war. They don't really care much about winning the information war, and that hurts them a lot. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to help you, IDF. I'm trying to help you, Israel. I support you, but they're like, nah, don't need you. Sorry. They would rather I not even be here. Israel has a lot of cats. Why is that? I don't know, but they've always been famous for that, especially in Jerusalem. There are cats everywhere and no stray dogs. So it's perhaps because they have programs where they, get rid of the stray dogs, or at least, give them the snip. And they don't do that to the cats. I don't know, but at least they don't have rats. It's too bad the cats don't eat cockroaches, because that cockroach was gigantic. And I'd almost screamed like a 12-year-old girl at a Taylor Swift concert when that roach right at the beginning of my life went crawling up right in front of my face. That's horrible, 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 really bad. Don't like roaches. Somebody asked me how the vegan diet's going. It's easier to be vegan on the road than it is to be keto on the road. Both of those have similar effects on my blood lipid levels, which is what I'm concerned about. But if you're trying to be keto, it's kind of a binary thing. Either you're in ketosis or you're not. And if you have just a little bit of carbs, then you're not in ketosis anymore. Whereas if I'm trying to eat vegan and I'm in a place where there is nothing vegan, but there's something that's vegetarian, it's better than nothing. And I can still eat relatively healthy. So like yesterday, I had a fantastic salad in Jerusalem, but it had a little bit of cheese in it, and I just kind of picked around the cheese. And, so it's easier to do that, and it has had an effect on my cholesterol, so that's good. That's what I'm working on. Does Netanyahu have good security? Depends on what you call good. It's a small country. Netanyahu, they know where he lives, and there are people protesting outside Netanyahu's house at all hours of the day and night. Very rude. Very rude. I mean, look, I get it. If you're against Netanyahu, go protest in front of the Knesset. Go protest if he's at a speech somewhere. But don't go to the guy's house and try to keep him awake all night. That's just, I don't know. That's classless, if you ask me. I think that there should be some decorum in civilized countries. If you're going to protest something, leave the guy's family out of it, right? But there are permanent protesters out in front of his house, and so I wonder how often he actually sleeps there, because they literally stay up with megaphones and make noise at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would hate to be one of his neighbors, that's for sure. How far percentage-wise has Israel gotten towards their war goals for Hamas? I would say maybe 75%, but this war is nowhere close to over. It's nowhere close to over. All right, so okay, do you think Iran is postponing the attack as long as possible to make Israel complacent in order to inflict maximum casualties, damage? Perhaps, but they'd have to wait quite a while. I mean, yes, it is costly for Israel to be at the level of alert that they're at right now. That is costly in terms of morale, in terms of attention span, in terms of economy, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's they're not going to wait that long. They're not going to wait that long. Okay, Yasha Harari says, I agree some decorum in Israel would be nice, but that's not the culture in Israel. Yes. Oh, you lived next to the prime minister for years? Wow. I'd love, Yasha, to interview you sometime. Sounds like you've got some interesting stories. If you're willing to let me interview you sometime, send me an email, hotzoneholton@gmail.com. What is Israeli reaction to requiring the ultra-Orthodox to do IDF service? Well, the ultra-Orthodox don't like it a whole lot. The rest of the Israelis do and think that they should. If you think about the fact that the ultra-Orthodox breed at a much higher rate than the rest of Israelis, the Israelis are looking at that. The rest of the Israelis are looking at that and saying, you know, you're going to have a majority and they're going to be defended by a minority if they don't make them serve. I think the better idea, I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but the better idea would be for the rest of Israelis to get busy having babies, because they suffer from the same left-wing demographics that much of the rest of the liberal world does, and that's not a good thing. People are not having enough babies. They need to get out there and have as many babies as possible, and that is the only way to win in many realms. Okay? Question, you sing much IDF troop movement wherever you go? Well, Rail fan, I'd love to tell you about that, but that would get me kicked out of the country. I can't speak about what I'm seeing as far as troops. Let's just say that there are plenty of troops where they need to be right now. There's no shortage of troops where they need to be. And I can't go any further than that. Was a report of Putin telling Iran to de-escalate legit? Yes, it was. Apparently, it was put out by Iran. And that's the reason I say that Iran may be trying to sort of, you know, back down. They may sort of be trying to climb down off the ladder a little bit, looking for an off-ramp. That's a mixed metaphor. That's bad. Have you tried the hummus from Aladdin's down in Jaffa? I have not. I should go. There's some very good, I did have some good hummus today. There's some very good hummus here. And I'm probably going to have some as soon as I get off this live, which is going to be pretty quick. Got about 8 minutes to go. What does Israeli reaction require? Okay. Look at the street cat's ears. If you see one tip is missing, it's because they got neutered and sent free. Okay. I'll check that out. Do you think? Okay. All right. Let's see here. Sponsors are welcome. With all of the American hardware in the region, do you think Iran won't have the guts to fight Israel if Israel strikes first? No. I think Iran's pride would make it drive itself off a cliff. At least the pride of the Iranian leadership, the mullahs. The mullahs are, you know, and this is a problem with Israel and with Iran. When you act out of pride or fear, you almost always make the wrong decision. It's almost impossible to make the right decision, either in your personal life or as a nation, if your decisions are being made out of pride or fear. And Iran and Israel are both guilty of that. And I think that Iran definitely would make a decision out of pride, even if it meant their own destruction. Because they don't care about their people, of course. They don't care about their people at all. Okay. Do you think IRG will do a joint attack on Israel? They very well might. I think that's the highest probability right now, is that we get a joint attack from Hezbollah and Iran, very likely tonight even. It might happen. Do you think Senoir is still in Gaza? Yes, I do. I think he would lose a lot of face if he left Gaza, and he's surrounded by what's left of the hostages, I believe. Ukraine and Israel wars are not tied. Well, in some ways they are. That's a topic for a whole nother podcast, though. We could do a podcast about how the Ukraine and Israel wars are tied together. And, you know, one might not have happened without the other. Okay. Do you think that events in the Middle East are leading to Psalm 83 war? We are one day closer to the Psalm 83 war. than we were. I mean, I'm not a prophet, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. Seems Israel expects the attack will be in the form of missiles, rockets, drones. Are they prepared also for other forms, bio attacks from within, etc.? I think the other forms would take the form of incursions across the border with actual Hamas or Hezbollah fighters coming across the border into northern Israel. And yes, they are very prepared for that. I don't think they're as worried about bio attacks or chemical attacks or something like that. As I mentioned, I think one thing that they're not probably paying enough attention to is the possibility that Iran decides to tit for tat assassinate a couple of Israeli diplomats, somewhere outside of Israel. That certainly is a possibility. And if I was an Israeli diplomat, I'd be very careful right now. Yeah, okay. Did Russia tell Iran not to attack? No, they told them to try not to attack too hard. Russia just sent them many medicine boxes. No, I don't. That's not what they sent them. They sent them missiles and electronic warfare equipment. Do you think that Iran won't attack? No, I think they will attack. Okay. All right. So we're close enough to an hour, so I'm gonna let it go there because it's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm gonna go maybe try to get a little sleep just in case that thing does actually take place tonight. If it does, I'll probably go live whenever it does. So stay tuned and subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell. If something actually happens, I will post about it as quickly as possible. You may be the first ones to find out even before it hits the news, okay? So you can also go to chuckholton.com and subscribe over there, and I will try to post there as quickly as possible if something actually does happen. Can they take down the red flag on top of the mosque without a war? I don't know. I think so. I think they could. Because they put it up there, at different times when there's not a war. Do you think Al-Qaeda is still in Juarez? Probably they are. Why does USA send so much money to Ukraine, like pensions? I've done lots of reports on Ukraine. You can go back in my podcast and you can find lots of reporting I've done about why the United States is sending money to Ukraine and how most of the money that you think is going to Ukraine is not actually going to Ukraine. It's going to U.S. defense companies and creating jobs in America. Do you think there's a big occurrence of the belief of Jesus in Israel? Not a lot, about 2%. Okay. All right. So, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to let it go at that. I appreciate all of you. Please, again, subscribe and like the channel, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.